The chief task in life is simply this: to identify and separate matters so that I can say clearly to myself which are externals not under my control and which have to do with the choices I actually control. Where then do I look for good and evil? Not to uncontrollable externals, but within myself to the choices that are my own. Stoicism has a problem. The philosophy has gained incredible popularity in recent years, becoming one of the most talked about ideologies on social media. The problem, though, is that very few of the people teaching Stoicism online actually know what Stoicism is. A false idea of Stoicism has been adopted by the internet, and it has resulted in a malignant sect of Stoicism that promotes the opposite of its original intentions. Despite the overwhelming amount of misinformation on the school of thought, I believe Stoicism has an invaluable lesson to teach to anyone willing to seek it out. In this video, I will go through what Stoicism is, what people get wrong about it, and why the philosophy is misunderstood so often. As is with any philosophy, Stoicism was founded on tragedy. Zeno, an incredibly wealthy Greek merchant, loses all of his possessions when his ship is destroyed in a storm. He sits on the shore, now being reduced to a beggar in poverty, and after long contemplation, he concludes that life goes on. While he sat there on the sands, it became apparent to him that this lamenting did nothing to help him, and the happiness and fulfillment of someone's life was entirely independent of any factor outside of his own control. Zeno did not need immense wealth to be happy, nor did he need his name to be known throughout the city of Sicyon. The only aspect of his life that truly had any importance was that he was a good, noble person and lived in harmony with his life. No quote better encapsulates the message of Stoicism than the following words by Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor and philosopher. "When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to love." The purpose of Stoicism is not based on pride. It's quite the opposite. Stoicism serves to show you how truly helpless you are to the world around you. Just like how Zeno was powerless against the massive storm that left him impoverished, you are powerless against any of the powers that be. Disease, war, financial instability, and natural disasters can all leave you severely depressed. In the words of Epictetus, a former slave, there is only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things which are beyond our power and will. To hang yourself up on something you have no control over is to dwell in the past and let the superficial enslave your life. The path to fulfillment is not found in riches and status, but is instead found within yourself, and by becoming a virtuous human being with value found in your soul rather than your worldly possessions. Here arises the question, what makes someone virtuous? In the eyes of the Stoics, the four core virtues are courage, wisdom, justice, and temperance. Courage insists that you live without fear. You shall not fear death, you shall not fear tragedies striking that you have no control over, and you shall not fear that your material possessions are too few. A courageous person does not run from difficult things, but instead purposefully seeks that which is difficult, and does so without hesitation. Wisdom states that you should seek education and a mind open to truth and reason. You should be an intelligent and well-educated member of society, not because it makes you feel superior or because you want to beat people in arguments, but because you sincerely wish to be the best you can be. Justice has significant overlap with wisdom, but where wisdom talks about knowing the difference between right and wrong, justice is focused on taking that information and acting on it. Many people know what they should do, but fail to act on their better judgments solely out of fear or cowardice, which ties directly into the virtue of courage. As Marcus Aurelius says in Meditations, waste no more time asking what a good man is, be one. The virtue of temperance is focused on the spectrum of wealth. Someone who shows proper temperance should live neither in overabundance nor deprivation. One of the core concepts of Stoicism is being able to remove yourself from the present situation and think critically about what the proper actions are at that very moment. If you are partying hard every night for weeks on end, the Stoics would tell you to linger on this fact and come to the realization that you are living in a state of harmful excess. While it's important to understand and act upon these four virtues, it can often be overwhelming to consider all of this, so I'll boil it down to one singular subject you must keep in mind if you are to adopt the philosophy. Epictetus, who I spoke about earlier in the video, founded the belief of the dichotomy of control, which, in simple terms, is being able to separate what you can control from what you cannot. You can control how hard you work, but you cannot control whether or not you get that promotion that you arrived early and stayed late to get in the first place. The truth of it is that people spend years of their lives ruminating and reminiscing over past mistakes, impossible what-ifs, and inevitable soon-to-bes. And the moment you realize that your overthinking doesn't solve anything, you become liberated. Now that you know the basic principles of Stoicism, I want to delve into the issue that Stoicism has, and how its true meaning has been shrouded in a veil of hatred and vanity. It is truly bewildering how a state of mind emphasizing tranquility, kindness, and morals can be bent and twisted into a state of complete bile and venom, but that is, quite disturbingly, what it has turned to. If you were to look up Stoicism on YouTube, you would quickly discover AI-generated, untrue videos that make crazy claims about how Stoicism will make you more attractive or piss off people you don't like. And while I'm certain there's some absurd and convoluted way that they connect the dots between Stoicism and the disgusting claims that they make, it's all a facade. From Hamza to Stoic Journal, hundreds of content creators use funk music and oversaturated images of muscular philosophers to mask their hate speech and egotistical worldview. TikTok and Instagram harbor an even more revolting picture of Stoicism, anywhere from making excuses as to why their marriage fell apart to glorifying a primitive way of thinking that states women are evil and that if you are not strong and fit, you are a weak, feeble human being. All these blatantly untrue perceptions of Stoicism stem from two main character traits: apathy and wrath. These two subjects are the most commonly recurring when it comes to erroneous ideas of the philosophy. It is astonishing when you see that Stoicism directly condemns both of them, and they do so quite adamantly. First is apathy, which is arguably the most common misconception about Stoicism. Apathy is defined as a lack of emotions or feelings, and gets the whole concept of the philosophy wrong. Stoicism is not about dulling emotions or reaching a state of dispassion. In reality, it's quite the opposite. Stoics live by the Latin saying amor fati, or love fate. You are not supposed to live in contempt for your life, but instead to embrace the road that fate has prepared for you and savor every moment that your existence has to offer. The second subject, wrath, has seen a wave of glorification in recent years, and is also by far the most grievous of the many malformations that Stoicism has undergone. Wrath is defined as an excessive sense of anger and hatred. Wrath comes in many forms, whether it's Andrew Tate talking about how he's a Stoic and then proceeding to bash women, gay people, and cripples, or talking about how to crush your enemies and get revenge against everyone who's ever wronged you. Wrath is a poison, one that spreads a sickly blight onto all that it touches. It stretches far beyond your typical knee-jerk reaction to someone who you disagree with. Wrath is a tumor in the mind. Wrath is the deliberate, continuous choice to act in hatred and fury. Seneca said that all cruelty springs from weakness. There is no honor or glory to be found in anger. It is a pitiful emotion, that ruins not just yourself, but the environment surrounding you. Many schools of thought or philosophers are misunderstood. Whether it be Friedrich Nietzsche or absurdism, it isn't uncommon for someone's ideas to be contorted over time. But the cause of Stoicism's distortion comes from an entirely different origin. When a philosophy is misinterpreted, or a philosopher's opinions are misrepresented, it typically stems from vague wording or contradictory statements that muddy their claims. But Stoicism is mostly exempt from these issues. The reason behind its delusion in modern media is because, for the most part, people don't want to hear what Stoicism has to say. The idealized vision of the perfect Stoic is someone who is the strongest in the room mentally and physically, someone who stands up for every injustice they come across and feeds every homeless person that they see on the street. Someone who follows the philosophy to a T, does not drink, smoke, sleep in, or eat chips. If you were to truly follow what Stoicism asked you to do, then you would be, in all senses of the word, immaculate. A true Stoic should be a saint, an honest-to-God, do-no-wrong hero of the people. You can see where I'm going here. Nobody is truly a Stoic. In Meditations, the journal of the most famous Stoic philosopher in history, out of over 35,000 words, not once does Marcus Aurelius, who bear in mind is the Roman emperor of the time, and easily one of, if not the most powerful person alive, refer to himself as a Stoic. Even Aurelius, who was recorded to sell his possessions to help aid the poor, who expanded upon the rights of slaves and victims of abuse, even he did not think of himself as a Stoic. It's at this point that you hopefully come to the realization that Stoicism is an unattainable goal. You are not meant to attain the title of Stoic, because to be a Stoic means to transcend all forms of imperfection and to be inhuman. The reason why Stoicism is so commonly misunderstood is because people see the gleaming model of a Stoic and assume that reading a book or not yelling at the TV when their favorite team loses immediately makes them applicable to the term. If they are a Stoic, then that would make them better than everyone else, which, as I sincerely hope you know by now, no one truly is. People decide to hear a small sliver of what Stoicism stands for, follow that small aspect, and then use it as an excuse to be a self-assured narcissist who is certain what they are doing is justified. It's not that any of the beliefs of Stoicism is leading them down this path, but instead it's the assumption that being a Stoic is something that is within their, or any human being for that matter's, reach. This is not ragging on how human beings are horrible or how we're doomed as a generation. This is merely a statement that no one is perfect. And while self-improvement is invaluable, you must always keep in mind that you are not a god, and for that reason alone, you should not treat people as if you are the omnipotent prophet and they are the lowly sinner. This has already been quite a lengthy video, so I'll try and tie it all up nicely. I've been using a bunch of quotes from dead philosophers that a spiteful old professor would use to punish his students, so I'll mix it up and offer the dialogue from Kung Fu Panda, in which Oogway and Shifu speak on what is in their control.
My old friend, the panda will never fulfill his destiny, nor you yours, until you let go of the illusion of control.
Illusion?
Yes. Look at this tree, Shifu. I cannot make it blossom when it suits me, nor make it bear fruit before its time.
But there are things we can control. I can control when the fruit will fall, and I can control where to plant the seed. That is no illusion, Master.
But no matter what you do, that seed will grow to be a peach tree. You may wish for an apple or an orange, but you will get a peach.
If you live your life desperately grasping for everything you desire, you will never be satisfied in life. dispel the idea that you need a six-figure job, a beautiful spouse, and a mansion on the lake in order to be happy, for you do not need these things. All you need is resilience and the willpower to push forward. I'm Camden Blair, and this has been